Welcome to the Dave Palma Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palma.
Hi, welcome back to the Dave Palma Show. And in this episode, I have with me a first Gulf War veteran, MBA and founder and CEO of MICG Investment Management, a billion-dollar wealth management firm, and his book is called Just One More, The Wisdom of Bob Vukovich. Jeffrey A. Martinovich, welcome to the Dave Palma Show. Yeah, I'm trying to...
Thank you, sir. We're making those names as difficult as possible.
Did I pronounce your name right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. Okay, well, I see you had a book out and you've got a bit of a story behind that. So tell us, what inspired you to write this book?
Well, you're right. I mean, it has been a decade-long crazy story, but for this book, I had written a business book, and it's in publication now. It's titled Icarus: From Zero to a Billion to Zero. And so there's about 40 lessons in there, about 25 lessons on helping people build the billion-dollar company, but also about 15 lessons on all the mistakes that I made. And I had about another 15 lessons left over, which I wanted to convey and get out to the readers. But they weren't really business. They were more life lessons that I'd been fortunate to be exposed to myself. And so we created this book, Just One More, to teach those 15 different lessons. But again, at the end of the day, we know that people learn better from narratives and stories, throughout our history. And so it is a parable, a narrative with a bunch of lessons wrapped into it that fortunately many people said by the end they've enjoyed the story and didn't really realize they were learning all those new things.
Right, I see. So I know you had a bit of a problem with some government officials, and obviously I think either you landed in jail or almost landed in jail. And this is back in the crash of 2008. Can you tell us that story and
Sure.
how it evolved to what you're doing now?
Sure. The quick synopsis of that would be, yes, back in 2008, we had 3,000 clients and 100 associates, and we had $1 billion, and we're across the country and in 5 countries. And then 2008 hit, and that certainly was a terrible time, but we weathered that. But after that, the regulators went around and through a long process, shut down a couple thousand, what we call tier 2 investment firms. Everybody on Wall Street seemed to be unscathed, and JP Morgan's and the Goldman Sachs did okay, but there were a lot of firms shut down. And so they claimed that we had mispriced one stock inside one of our hedge funds, and we claimed we did not. And I rejected 3 government plea offers to finally decide to defend our company and our employees and myself in a federal trial. Unfortunately, 98.5% of all those result in conviction, and that's what happened to me. And in this bizarre narrative, I went from running a $1 billion company to being sentenced to 14 years in a violent prison.
Wow, violent prison for a financial kind of...
Yeah, it was not the cozy ones seen on TV. And it took a while. I had to kind of go into the law library and start to teach myself federal criminal law, because they take all your resources away, of course, also.
Oh.
And
right.
And through
so
this,
you mean you can't use an iPad or anything like that in there?
Well, that's right. Or attorneys, you don't have any money left for the attorneys, and
really?
So you're on your own in there. But I was real fortunate. I worked in the law library and I helped a lot of other people with their cases. And through doing that, I was able to actually learn a lot myself, and which fortunately allowed me. My case was reversed twice. 2 federal judges were removed, and and after about 7 years, I finally made it home with COVID and all these reversals.
This is last year then?
I made it back last year, and back to Norfolk, Virginia with my family.
Wow.
And back to working. So it's been a long journey.
Yeah, that's hard being away from your family as well for what was, not really the sentence that you needed. Obviously, you got it overturned and it was appealed. So it's horrible. It has to go that way, isn't it?
It was a pretty wild experience. I made a lot of mistakes along the way. Okay. I had a group of shareholders and certainly a lot of employees, and so a lot of people suffered through this whole ordeal.
Yeah.
And so
did the
now,
company manage to sink or float?
No, it sunk.
Okay.
So what they did is basically overnight it was turned off by the regulators, and so when that happens, a lot of terrible things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of like froze everything and dissolved it basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh well, that's really a big thing that would happen, suddenly for you, and obviously spending time in jail for that long. That's actually a long time before finding out that. Well,
right.
Luckily,
it's quite an amazing experience because I've filed over 500 different motions and actions and letters and all these things.
Yeah, they like all that, don't they?
They do, and 99% of all that ends in failure, and everything is denied. And so it is an unbelievable process of day after day for thousands of days of getting up and trying to fight your fight and do the right thing and make a positive impact. But again, most days end in disappointment and despair when you're in that environment. But eventually, we made it out the other side.
Yeah. I mean, it's harder when you can't move around and go to places to get it all done and see people and relax. And
you can't call your accountant or attorney to fix
that's
this
the
for
thing
you.
with what you said. Yeah, you've just got
That's
one tiny
right.
room and no one around really, which doesn't. But I mean, like I'm a retired firefighter. I mean, you're a veteran, a warfare veteran as well. So, do you think any of that mindset helped you?
Most certainly. I was very fortunate to attend the United States Air Force Academy and then serve in the first Gulf War. And most definitely my fortunate past of being in the military and playing a lot of sports even gives you some strength. And it gives you some strength to kind of get through those things, because through that you have lots of disappointment. And you see that the people who have suffered maybe a lot of small disappointments build up some strength so that when some of these big things happen to you, the whole world maybe doesn't collapse, and you figure out a way to, if you can't get through that wall, maybe you can get over it, under it, around it, one way or the other. So certainly that kind of training helps a lot.
Yeah, and that if you don't do it right, you're going to die out there. So
absolutely.
That's certainly the same in our job. I mean, luckily I was never in that situation, but I have been around situations, in my job, firefighters have died from my department and, around UK as well. So,
wow.
But obviously there's a lot of work around PTSD and then mindset, even though you can manage in that situation, like you did with the 7-year sentence, a 14-year sentence, but obviously 7 years is still, you've got the tools to do that, but of course you still need to, kind of have some strategies to manage.
What I kind of tried to do, every day, my simple strategy was, because when you're in prison, you see the great majority of gentlemen, unfortunately have kind of given up. And so they kind of lose faith and lose hope that they can fix this or redeem that. So you're not in a real positive environment there every day. But my strategy was I wanted to get stronger every day in 3 separate areas. So I wanted to get physically stronger, intellectually stronger, and emotionally, spiritually stronger.
Yes,
and if I could do just this tiny little bit of forward progress each day in each of those categories, then I knew tomorrow is going to be a better day.
It's like mind, body, and spirit.
Mind, body, and spirit. That's right. That's right. And that kind of kept us on the track to hopefully get improvement.
Yeah. You probably, had a lot of a plethora of knowledge and built more on that with all the time you had to spend. And obviously with meditation, stuff like that helps you being alone in that kind of space to do that.
Exactly.
Really,
I think to get through these challenges and I mean, like you've mentioned, people die in the fires. We've had all of our veterans, so many veterans lost in these scenarios, so nobody died in this scenario. I feel, so I'm a very lucky person that we've made it out the other side. Exactly. But I believe my belief is you have to have some belief in some grand design, whatever that is for you. You have to believe that there's some reason this is happening. There's something about good versus evil. And that if you keep doing the right thing, eventually, and they always say, we pray in our time and God makes his decisions in his time. So it never works in our time frame. But I think, God helps those who help themselves. And if you keep focusing on trying to get stronger every day and do the right thing, eventually, I believe most of the time, we're going to get through it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Well, of course, you came out the other side, but then you came into COVID lockdown, and a lot of stuff was happening in America. It wasn't just you now; it's like the whole world, really.
That's exactly right. How did that.
I mean, did you find it easy because of the fact that you come out from all that? It's like, well, this is easy for me. Or
that's a great observation. Certainly, I was in a higher security prison for about the first 5 years.
Yeah.
And then I moved down to what we call over here a camp, a minimum security prison for the last couple of years. And certainly every step is incredibly better. And then leaving that minimum security facility and coming home to my family was, light years better. So even though I'm on lockdown with all of us on lockdown, it was still an amazing experience. So, we're working hard every day trying to rebuild the world for myself, for our stakeholders. And so, yes, it's ironic that the COVID kind of, all of us were on lockdown there for so long.
And there was a lot of stuff happening in America, especially with all the protests and different. Well, it was very polarized, so
very polarizing.
You probably saw it coming anyway before you went. Luckily, you was away from a lot of what Donald Trump's administration was doing anyway. But
it has been a crazy time. I guess there's been lots of crazy times, but But you're right. Hopefully, we can take. Back in times of like 9/11 and when we've had great turmoil, the country has come together. Those things have kind of galvanized people, everybody to come. And unfortunately, it's like you just said, it's been polarizing recently. And so hopefully we can shift it back because, at the end of the day, as I learned in prison, as I helped 300 guys with their cases, that in turn helped me win my own case. And so all these laws of attraction, and if we see that, supporting everybody else, it comes back to us 100 times over, as I fortunately found out recently.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's a really, really good kind of like wealth of stuff you can offer the world now, really, from what, obviously, something that was going bad for you, and then you kind of used it and turned everything around, really, and then you're in a situation now to kind of help, worldwide. I mean, where are you at now?
Well, that's a great question. So when I came home, some of my previous business associates and friends, and I'm incredibly lucky, they stuck by my side through this whole adventure. and which normally doesn't happen. And
Yeah,
so I'm
sometimes,
very
yeah.
blessed with that, with my family and my friends. So when I got back, a lot of people came to me and said, oh my gosh, now we have all these things we have to get done, and we have to rebuild, and we have to merge this. So I have a good list of projects. What I like to do is build companies and grow companies. And so through consulting and coaching and owning, that's what I enjoy. I enjoy some good capitalism. I'm a big believer that good capitalism, saves the world eventually.
Yeah,
And
well, I won't let my left wing sided guests hear all this, but
yeah, that's right. I'm a big believer that, just if we can align our self-interest, everybody works in their self-interest, no doubt about it.
yeah, of course, yeah.
So if we can align those self-interests to the greater good, it's an exponential result. So I've been working on a lot of those projects, but just like you said, I am really focused also through the book. There's a couple other books coming out in publication that I'd love to help people going through these types of challenges, even business owners who, maybe don't think this would ever happen to them. Possibly I can say, look, this could happen to you tomorrow, and here's the 15 mistakes that I made.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to help as many people as possible not go through the experience that I did.
Yeah, and sometimes people say you learn from your mistakes. A lot of the big basketball players say, yeah, well, actually, I became great because I made, so many mistakes and learned from them. But also you can learn from other people's mistakes. So it's good that you can put that out there and say, well, look, hey, listen, I can help you set up your business. I made a mistake. You can learn from this too. I mean, what are some of the 15 mistakes you could talk about now? Or is that a secret?
No.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I think a lot of the time I was kind of naive and not pragmatic enough. When, through the military and sports, I was kind of always the big cheerleader CEO. Right. And we had great success for almost 2 full decades. And so when these black swans are coming down the river and all these big events, I think what I needed to do more was keep more powder dry, circle the wagons more, and not try to possibly keep growing and take over the world at times like that. There were many times that I blindly followed the advice of our lawyers and CPAs when I should have taken more time to do those things myself. There is a long string of, when the nuclear meltdown starts, everything kind of hits together, and there's a long string of things, public relations and helping our clients and getting out in front of helping the truth get out. Yeah. A lot of things I did wrong. And so what I've really created is some books and some workshops to help other people handle these type of things better. Also, when building the company, there were many things that I could have put in place well in advance that could have been protected the company better, which is really my responsibility for the shareholders. And that's why we're working so hard right now to rebuild everything.
Right. Also, you obviously started a new company, but it's the same business, if you like.
Well, it's a little bit different. It's in business and helping build businesses. We're not doing direct investment advising.
Right.
But yes, I certainly in that investment world, I certainly have a lot of wisdom and scars that I can help those people with those companies and challenges. So I enjoy doing that. So actually, we're helping a lot of different businesses because I'm a big believer that 90% of business is all the same stuff, and if you can get that stuff right, then you can allow the business owner to do what they're great at. Their specialty, their passion.
Yeah. I mean, my side of my business is obviously connected with this podcast, which is the main kind of like centerpiece of everything, is to get everything online and sleep while I'm making money, because
it's amazing.
Residual income's kind of like a dream thing, isn't it, really?
Right. And I'm just learning a lot of that now. My son, who is 27, works with me.
Oh,
And,
right, okay, yeah.
and you know, he can take care of that in 5 minutes, what would take
Yeah,
me
exactly, yeah.
4 hours of screaming at the laptop.
I think I'm with you there. Yeah, and I don't want to spend time doing that. So sometimes you're thinking of outsourcing, but then if you don't know the person, they'll just try and rip you off, you know. So this,
and
this
I've
is a
loved
problem.
and I've loved going through your podcast and the great
thanks.
stories and
Yeah.
you do such a great job. You do a great job of bringing a real eclectic mix of people and ideas and things, and that's what makes it, you know, so enjoyable
diverse,
to listen to.
Diverse,
Very diverse.
Topics are diverse, but it's kind of with things I've come across in my life. So, like, I was a firefighter. I was also a very good track athlete, you know, and I did the Olympic trials and stuff like that. And,
wow.
you know, I did a politics degree. But I've also learned a lot from life, like yourself, you know, and I'm going through stuff even now. And a lot of it is adversity after adversity after adversity. And how I'm coping to keep, you know, because people say I've got a placid exterior, but of course, internally, you still need to control that, don't you, really? So
that's right. I have a chapter in the book about brain compartmentalization. And, you know, there's this small group of people that, you know, could have 9,000 things going on, like yourself.
Yeah.
And they seem to be able to take the problems and slide them over to the side, focus on the day and get through
what's important.
What's important. While a great number of people may only have one problem of the day, but they're kind of like that drama queen.
Everything shuts down because, oh my God, you know.
Disaster. Right. And so you can really recognize that rare group. And I believe, like you've said, is I think that comes from experience, exposure. Once you have to go through it, you can go through it and go through it, and then you can handle it better the next time.
Yeah, I mean, I had undiagnosed dyslexia when I was at school, so I didn't understand it. But when I went to study the degree, it all made sense. It was classically all in line because no one knew about that, you know, sort of in the 70s when I was in elementary school, you call it, but we call it primary school. Right. Because that's where it started. So when I was 40 years old, you know, when I was a mature student, it's like, what? Now I know. And then, you know, I had a troubled childhood and, you know, it wasn't too troubled, but, you know, I had to kind of like sail through that a bit, you know, and kind of glide and get through life that way. So that was my training ground first. And sports came up early for me. And it's going to keep you healthy because fitness, like you say, is a key thing. It's going to produce endorphins in your mind. Those endorphins is connecting with dopamine and stuff like that. And BDNF is another neuroscience and stuff like that. So
that's right.
I started learning about that later because I did have some post-traumatic stress symptoms or reactions, which I didn't know about all this because that's all new as well.
Right.
That's the purpose of my podcast.
I think it, just like your podcast, is that in your life, it is all connected. And so I think you got to get stronger in each of those categories because you're right. You've got to be physically in shape to be able to have the right mental attitude to handle all those challenges.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I like sports like boxing as a sport. I know that, you know, they're kind of like a little bit kind of, you know, the nice boxers that kind of like articulate themselves well and behave well. That's good. You know, you can learn from them. But even the real kind of animals, but you learn from what they're getting knocked down, and you can look at that at life. I mean, you know, sports is a good analogy for business and life, isn't it?
Absolutely. Listen, I watched one of the Rocky movies just 2 nights ago because I need, you know, a little oomph. And,
exactly, they were great films, weren't they? I watched one about a year ago because I was just watching some classic channel TV movies that came up, you know, and I thought, I remember. And he was doing some sprints on the beach because I was a track athlete. He was doing some sprint on the beach. I thought I loved all that stairs because I was, I ran upstairs for my training as a firefighter and stuff like that. So I thought, I love this because that is on the other end where I've learned already, where I've done my training, you know. So
Rocky never gets old. Never gets old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but even the executives that never had that childhood and education, or I mean, like yourself, you've gone through that period in, you know, jail and stuff like that, and you actually bounced back. So you had that maybe natural, because everyone has the inborn resilience, but it's how much they need fed into them extra. You can always build on it, no matter how resilient you are. The same as anyone can be talented at any sport or business or music, but you're still building that. The training, you still need training to refine that talent, don't you?
I totally agree. And you know, those things do make us stronger, and we have a choice. We can kind of give up and have despair and, you know, depression.
Anyone can have despair,
right? Or
the greatest people can.
or we can kind of get up, slap ourselves around in the morning and try to make forward progress. So, as we all struggle through those, that makes us stronger for the next event.
Exactly. And hopefully the whole world is waking up to that with obviously what's gone on in the last year or two now.
You're right.
The last 2 years almost now, really, you could say, really. So,
yeah.
So that's good.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's go on to your book before you finally wind down
Sure.
The show. So what made you choose the title for the book, Just One More?
Well, it's funny. Really, the honest answer is it started as a joke. We did own a bistro to where, we would say, hey, just one more, but then we got to go. But really what it turned into was more of a metaphor for through telling the story, one more challenge, one more time to get off the canvas. Absolutely. And so that's what it really kind of meant. All these bumps that we have in our lives and people go through these stories, you got to get up just one more time than you were knocked down.
Exactly.
So that's
well, it's like what I was saying about adversity after adversity, and I was learning from it because that's the character I was from a child, or the boxer that it does keep coming down and saying, "Oh, come on, in, give me one more," and he gets knocked down, but then he wins. Just like the fight over the weekend, the heavyweight. They both got knocked out by each other, and they're right, well, I'm ready for more, and the Wilder fight, so and Tyson Fury actually had to leave the sport with some depression and bankruptcy issues and put on a hell of a lot of weight and almost lost everything. So that's adversity. That's what I like. And he's a real, he articulates himself well after the fight. They really
absolutely.
They really aren't animals. They're quite. I think they'll be good friends after they kind of retire.
So.
That's how good it is, because not quite like Ali and Fraser. That got nasty, but in the end,
Those were amazing events, right?
Yeah. But anyway, let's get back to your book. So just one more. So that's the kind of thing. The analogies I'm using is just to back up what you're saying. It's kind of like that, yeah. Right.
And through my career, I've been really fortunate to have these mentors. Like Bob Vukovich is this mentor in the book.
Right.
And,
okay.
And again, as we talked about, whether it's sports or the military, my father's story was an amazing story. Right. And so I've been exposed to these great mentors that really taught me a lot of things that maybe you don't realize at the time. And it's not just about business, but it's about life and class and grace and just trying to lead a better life. And so a lot of us haven't had the opportunity to have that grandfather maybe that gives us that wisdom. So I like with my companies or with my nonprofits that I work with is being able to kind of convey some of those lessons. And so that's how the story started, with Bob Vukovich taking this young Cole Johnson under his wing, and once a week at the bistro happy hour, through their time together, teaching him another important lesson on life.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, we could talk on forever about, on a tangent with all the kind of things we've come up with today. But obviously, I'm more of a getting over resilience and adversity. So, as far as your book's concerned, what would you love to see happen as a result of this book and audiobook getting out to the audience? And how would you like it to impact the world?
Thank you. I would love for people to enjoy the story. And it's kind of and by the time they're done with the story, they've learned a lot of things that they didn't know before. But also to understand that, yes, life knocks us down. And also that we think we know so much when we only really know such a tiny bit of the truth and what is the truth and what is going on in the world. And so I'd like it to help people help them have an open mind, help them also open their eyes to maybe everything we think is going on in the world is possibly a little bit different than what it appears. And so I've always kind of said the most intelligent people I've known over the years have always been the people who said, I don't know. And you really, as you talk about where the world is today and very polarized, there's a lot of people that have very strong opinions about things when in reality, we may all be very far from the truth. So I hope it helped just encourage people to have resilience, perseverance, but also to open their eyes to what the possibilities are and be open to new ideas.
That's great. Thanks for that. That's great value you're giving my audience today. So where could the audience actually find out more about you and your book and your upcoming books, actually?
Yes, thank you. Actually, this Just One More is on Amazon, and that's where most people order that from.
That's right. Yeah.
And my team we've made a small website. It's my name, jeffmartinovich.com. Yeah. And that kind of is the link to all of our businesses and our speaking and our writing.
All right. Okay.
And it's in our books, and it's all right.
Kind of like my podcast is central to it. So
yeah,
my website
that's exactly right.
Yeah,
same concept. Yeah. So jeffmartinovich.com is where they can find everything.
That's the center hub, the nerve center.
Yes.
Not nerve in a bad way, though.
That's right.
They just call that like the mission control room for NASA and stuff like that, So excellent. Well, Jeffrey, it's been a really great conversation, and I'm so happy much. I could relate on some stuff as well, together with you.
Absolutely. So, I really have enjoyed speaking with you, and again, your podcast does a great job of getting out a ton of different information, and it's very inspiring. So I hope you keep it up.
Thanks a lot. And thanks again once for coming on the show today.
Thanks. Take care.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening. And remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. Or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.